Love you too. Good morning, Taft. I hope each of you have returned from Free Monday refreshed and rejuvenated, ready to make a difference in the world around you. For those of you that don't know me, I am Miss Lee, and I am Dean of Global and Diversity Education. And I always consider each opportunity to speak and connect with Taft students as sacred, because I believe that you are at Taft because you want to be the best person that you can be in the world, and you believe that a Taft education can help you in that journey. So in my talks with you, I always want to share perspective, opportunities, and/or experience that can encourage you to continue to be your best self. And I believe that our global leadership and service programs at Taft are critical in helping you grow into the dynamic human beings that we are all capable of being. But before I talk about those programs and our new Center for Global Leadership and Service, I first want to generally talk about global leadership and service. And to begin, I thought I would share with you some of my favorite quotes from global leaders. So I guess I'm going to start with Mother Teresa. And so one of my favorite quotes from Mother Teresa is that not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love. And then we have John F. Kennedy, who in his Ripples of Hope speech, he said, "Each time a man stands up for an ideal, or acts to improve the lots of others, or strikes out against injustice, he sends forth a tiny ripple of hope, and crossing each other from a million different centers of energy and daring, those ripples build a current which can sweep down the mightiest walls of oppression and resistance." Then we have Martin Luther King, of course, who says that life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? And we have some current leaders in your generation, such as Malala, which how many of you, I know some of you read her book this summer. How many of you are familiar, by a raise of hand, with Malala? Well, in a second, I'm going to share a little bit more about Malala. And then we have Kevin Hall, who wrote a book called Aspire. And in his book, he says that your gifts are not about you. Leadership is not about you. Your purpose is not about you. A life of significance is about serving those who need your gifts, your leadership, your purpose. So I want to focus on Kevin Hall's quote and Malala, who says, "My purpose is to serve humanity." So for those of you who are not familiar with Malala, she's now a 16-year-old girl from Pakistan who, as a champion for girls' education, was shot in the head by the Taliban in 2012 when she was 14. And so please direct your attention to the screen to learn more about her story.
I have rights. I have the right of education. I have the right to play. I have the right to sing. I have the right to talk. I have the right to go to market. I have the right to speak up.
She's become the voice for girls around the world. In 2011, CNN interviewed Malala Yousafzai, a Pakistani girl who gained international headlines 2 years earlier for speaking out for girls' education through a blog she wrote under a pseudonym.
When I see my name in the newspaper, I feel that, yeah, God has given this honor to me and I shall accept it.
Malala's life changed forever on October 9th, 2012. While on her way home from school in Pakistan's Swat Valley, a group of armed Taliban boarded her school bus, asked for her by name, and shot her in the head. 2 of her classmates were also wounded in the attack. But Malala's injuries were so severe, doctors didn't think she'd survive. She was airlifted to a military hospital in Peshawar, where she had surgery to remove the bullet lodged in her shoulder. From the UAE to Germany to the US, doctors from around the world offered to treat the young girl. But ultimately Malala flew to the UK, where she continued treatment at Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Birmingham. When hearing about the attack, people around the world were inspired by her courage. Many attended prayer vigils and lit candles. Others stood in support of her efforts through rallies, holding up her picture and demanding change. Malala was discharged from the hospital in January and underwent reconstructive surgery a month later. In 2011, when asked why it was important for her to take up this cause, she told our Reza Saya,
when I looked at my people and my school fellows and in the ban on the girls' education and the Taliban, so I thought that I must stand up for my rights, the right of education, the right for peace.
Malala is attending school in the UK, but she continues her fight for education, and worldwide support for her continues despite threats from the Taliban. Fanula Sweeney, CNN, New York.
Malala is a very courageous young woman, as she has, as the story shares, stood up for the rights, her own personal rights and the rights of other girls across the world to education. So I was a person who was familiar with her story when it first came out. But Malala's story had the most impact on me when I traveled to India with Mr. Gunung over spring break this past March. While in India, the closest Mr. Gunung and I got to Malala's country, Pakistan, was when we were visiting the Golden Temple in Amritsar, which sits near the border of India and Pakistan. And while that experience was certainly eye-opening, the experience that was even more revealing for me was when we visited Pardada Pardati, a school for girls in a rural area of India. In India, between 1951 and 1981, that is post-independence, the number of illiterate women increased from 158.7 million to 241.7 million. As of 2011, 34.5% of all Indian women were illiterate, and of all the children not enrolled in school, 70% were girls. These statistics are even more staggering in the location of Pardada Pardati, where 85% of girls do not have access to even a primary education. And while these statistics are daunting, the conditions under which the girls attend school are even more disturbing. It was through this experience that I gained a greater understanding of Malala's purpose and commitment to serving humanity. I must be honest, for me in India, my leadership, life, and service to others was challenged. And while there, I recall being reminded of Kevin Hall's book and his quote in Aspire, that my gifts are not about me, my leadership is not about me, my purpose is not about me. A life of significance is about serving those who need your gifts, leadership, and purpose. The amount of work we have to do as human beings to make this world a better place for all of us is extremely critical. And when you leave this auditorium today, this is something I really want to encourage you to think about. What are your gifts? How do you and will you lead today and in the future? What is your purpose on this planet Earth? As Mr. McMillan asked some of you to ponder at an MLK program a few years ago, do you in fact believe a life of service is a part of the good life? If so, then how will you continue to serve to develop as a global leader at Taft and beyond? So as I near my closing, I would like to share some of the improved and new ways that your peers and you can engage as global leaders and servant leaders at Taft. Most recently, Taft received a grant from the Edward E. Ford Foundation to build a Center for Global Leadership and Service in partnership with the City of Waterbury. The grant is a part of Ford's Educational Leadership Initiative, in which the foundation challenges private schools, such as Taft, to consider what does it mean to be a private school with a public purpose? Or in other words, how will Taft live out its motto of to serve, not to be served in the 21st century? Our Center for Global Leadership and Service is based on the philosophy of thinking globally, acting locally, and servant leadership, and will allow students from Taft and Waterbury to collaboratively explore global issues while developing leadership skills to address them. There are 3 types of programs that sit under the Center for Global Leadership and Service. They include mentorship programs, a Global Leadership Institute, and an improved expanded service learning program. Now, if you are a sophomore at Taft, you have already heard from me about the Global Leadership Institute, which for those of you that are not familiar, and for you freshmen that will be sophomores or mids next year, the Global Leadership Institute will accept 10 Taft and 10 Waterbury sophomores into the new 2-year program every year. I'm really excited about this program because it will expose Taft students to some of the leading social entrepreneurs of our times. And we will also have an opportunity to visit the United Nations this coming May to meet with some of our global leaders in this world. For those of you that are currently sophomores, again, the application deadline is October 17th, so make sure you get those recommendation forms in to your recommenders. Additionally, so you'll see some of yourselves in here. If you serve at the Carrington School for your afternoon X, or if you take my service learning class, you are now serving at our new adopted Waterbury Public School, the Carrington School. And if you're not, you can sign up next semester. For those of you that are not familiar with service learning at Taft, some more pictures. It is a class that gives you an opportunity to bridge academic content with service in order to help you gain a greater understanding of the why behind the service work that you do. Our service focus at Carrington is literacy. And the reason for that is because in Waterbury, according to the 2007 Waterbury Needs Assessment, only 30% of Waterbury fourth graders passed the state achievement test. So as you can see and tell from the pictures, the kids love learning from Taft students. As I like to say to you all who are familiar with me, you are a brand in the community, almost as popular as Nike. When kids see you, they say, "There's Taft, there's Taft." And just an interesting story, I was at Main Street Grill a couple of weeks ago, and I sat down at the table, and this waiter comes up to me, and he says, "Do you work at Taft?" And I was like, "Yes." So he then introduces himself, and he says, "Well, I'm the fourth grade teacher at Carrington, and our students so look forward to you all coming back to the school this year," which just reinforces the point that you all are certainly a brand to students in the community. So we have Carrington, our after-school program. We have service learning. We also have a program that is run by Miss Monty and Mr. Clifford called the Taft Powell Summer Enrichment Program. And we also have athletic programs. So here we go. So Miss O'Shea is working with athletic coaches to facilitate our Service Through Sports program, which allows sports teams to run sports clinics with one of our service partners, the Police Activities League. And you can see here our varsity boys baseball team with Coach Piacenza, Coach Traina, and Coach Ganang, who led the way last year piloting our Service Through Sports clinics. So here's the team. So we're looking for more of your sports team to serve because we do believe that a life of significance is about serving those who need your gifts, your leadership, and your purpose. And what better way to do that than mentoring and coaching younger kids in the sports that you are most gifted in playing. So Taft, as Mahatma Gandhi said, in a gentle way, you can shake the world. We must be the change we wish to see in the world. With that, I look forward to seeing you share your gifts, leadership, and purpose with those who need it most. Peace and blessings, and have a wonderful rest of the week.